Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. This past Saturday, September 3rd, 2016, early in the morning, national news headlines rolled out that a boy's remains had been found in Minnesota that had been missing for 27 years since October 1989. This was the same morning that Minnesota was also in the headlines for signing the former college star quarterback Sam Bradford, who played at Oklahoma, which had a monstrous earthquake, a record setting earthquake, this very same morning. What we're going to talk about in this video is how this is contrived propaganda by the numbers for the sake of programming the American people with fear and intimidation. Those of us who live in this country, the United States, we know that our cities seem to be extinct when it comes to children. You don't see children in the parks, you don't see them playing in the streets. The reason why is because the majority of American parents, they're fearful that if their children go outside, they'll be picked up by a killer, a child molester, a terrorist. And the reason they believe this is because they're watching the TV, they're reading the papers, and they're believing the propaganda and lies that are programmed every day. If you want to make your life better, turn off your TV, get rid of your newspaper, end your magazine subscriptions. All of that information is worthless. All it is lies, fear, intimidation. It's the same thing every single day. Those of you who watch my videos and come to me and ask me to decode stories to see if they're real, you're not getting my message. Every single story in the mainstream media is made up bullshit. And even if there is a hint of truth, such as somebody died, the way it's being reported that they died is not true. Almost all these people you hear about dying in the media are ritually sacrificed by the numbers. Hundreds of videos on this channel on it. How many more deaths do I have to predict before people realize this isn't coincidence? So anyhow, let's get to this bogus propaganda story. We're also going to talk about John Walsh, the host of The Hunt, used to be the host of America's Most Wanted, a guy that supposedly lost his son at a young age, which is what gave him the motivation to do this work. We're going to talk about how John Walsh murdered his own son because he's a sick Jewish psychopath, just like the people who run our media. I hope somebody sees this video who can do something. John Walsh needs to be publicly executed along with the rest of these Zionists who run this media and who are nothing but filth. So look at this top headline. Jacob Wetterling was abducted 27 years ago. What's that equal in gematria? It sums to 133. If you're new here, we talk about gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, which is a Jewish practice. It's important to Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, and numbers. The people who run your media are all Jewish. Anybody who works there that's not Jewish is a little Jewish bitch that takes orders from somebody who's Jewish. And anybody who denies this is also a little Jewish bitch who's been programmed to believe in things such as anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism doesn't apply to Jewish people because they're false Jews. Their identity is a complete farce. So Jacob Wetterling was abducted 27 years ago, has gematria of 133, just like the name Wetterling in Simple English Gematria, which is obviously a bullshit name. Just listen to the name. When you say it out loud, it sounds like death. Think of a dead, wet, damp corpse. It's all in that word. Wetterling, a wetter thing, a dead, wetting, rotting corpse. Wetterling equals 133, just like the headline, just like government. And this is government propaganda. Your government, your media, they are run by the Zionist Jews who are the New World Order. The United States of America has never been a sovereign nation. It's always been a Zionist Jew Masonic nation. From the very beginning, it's been run this way, by the numbers with lies and propaganda. Some other 133 words: White House, government, Federal Bureau of Investigation. The FBI has supposedly been investigating this case since 1989. The FBI is not here for justice. It's another Jewish-run, Masonic-run government organization that specializes in intimidating the people and steering them like the pack of sheep the U.S. populace is. The subheadline, Boys Remains Found, gematria of 74, just like Masonic, just like Jewish, just like occult. Special number to this game. The boy's initials, JW, Jacob Wetterling. J's the 10th letter, W the 23rd, 33. He disappeared in October, the only month with 33 gematria, 33 the number of the psychological operations. Supposedly, his body was found on September 3rd, 9/3, Saturday. Saturday, the word also has a connection to Saturn, the keeper of time. Saturn in gematria sums to 93. Saturn, the keeper of time, they tell us the sun is 93 million miles away, the real keeper of time. This story rolling out by the numbers 27 years later in time. The word propaganda also has gematria of 93. The Zionist Jewish state of Israel is built on the number 93, and it's a state built on propaganda, built on the lies from World War II about the Holocaust, which never happened. Yes, Jewish people were put in camps, but there was no gassing, there was no genocide of the Jewish people. That's why everybody knows Jewish people that survived the Holocaust. The only people who died in the Holocaust were people who died from starvation and scurvy, just like Japanese people did in U.S. internment camps, something that's not talked about. That's because the victors write the history books, and the United States of America is a Jewish nation, just like Israel. The United States of America was invented to bring about Israel, a nation created by a bunch of Jewish Freemasons. Christopher Columbus discovered America? I mean, how dumb do you have to be to even ever believe a line like that you've been told your whole life? I understood that as a young kid. I said, how could he have discovered America if he came here and called the people here Indian? You know, the average American, they just don't get it. They just believe. The word believe equals 33. CC, Christopher Columbus, paid for by the Catholic Church, the CC. Remember on September 11th, it was flight 93 of 33 passengers. These people like these numbers. There was the 93 World Trade Center bombing. The first plane to hit the World Trade Centers was Flight 11 that hit floors 93 through 99. The second plane hit at the time of 9:03 in the morning. Now the new building there is One World Trade Center, which equals 93. Anyway, this date, September 3rd, 2016, it was a date with 48 numerology and 21. 48 also connects to propaganda. 21 also connects to Saturn. Fitting day to roll out the Jacob Wetterling story. The name Wetterling, again, equals 133, the big way. The small way, 52. Prophecy equals 52. This story, it could be propaganda entirely tied to the Minnesota Vikings football season. The day he disappeared was the date of a Vikings game, which we'll revisit. I've shown countless times how news stories involving murder, car wrecks, disappearances, they're really just coded propaganda that are tributes to the sports teams for those states. The reason that sounds crazy is because it is crazy, and the reason this craziness exists is because we're ruled over by crazy Zionist Jews. The synagogue of Satan, as they're called in Revelation of the Bible. So let's do some reading. The remains of Jacob Wetterling, a Minnesota boy abducted from a rural road 27 years ago, have been found, the Stearns County Sheriff's Office said Saturday in a news release. The Ramsey County medical examiner and a forensic odontologist identified the remains as Wetterling's earlier today, the release said. The release didn't say if anybody had been charged. The sheriff's office said investigators will evaluate new evidence and expect to be in a position to provide more detailed information early next week. The abduction of the 11-year-old boy, notice he's 11, the master number, these people love their numerology, led to the 1994 Jacob Wetterling Crimes Against Children and Sexually Violent Offenders Registration Act, which requires states to maintain sex offender registries and guidelines. This is what our nation does. Creates propaganda and then creates laws and regulation out of it. Our entire history. You know, our Miranda rights, there's no even such thing as Miranda. There never was a Miranda. Miranda equals 33. The story happened in Phoenix on the 33rd parallel, on a date with 33 numerology. Our entire nation's history is this way. Made up, bogus propaganda for the sake of agenda, for the sake of making laws, steering people. You know, the New World Order doesn't want children out playing with each other, having a good time. They want them living under parents who are scared, intimidated, park their children in front of the TV so then the child can get all the programming, the junk food, the horrible, violence on TV, the negative behaviors. The reason this country is so fucked up is because everybody is raised by the television, and most people are just too weak to do anything besides go along with their programming. I recognized that when I was a young child. I saw how the kids around me, addicted to the TV, trying to be like the people on the TV. This is how it all works. So anyway, where this story came out of Stearns has gematria of 96 like Freemason. Freemasons run your police department. Freemasons, measurers, builders, doing things by the numbers. Said he disappeared on a rural road. Rural road has gematria of 108 like the independent year numerology of 1989. Let's read some more. Abductor wore stocking mask. Jacob disappeared on a dark road in central Minnesota on the night of October 22nd, 1989. He was 11, disappeared on the 22nd. 22 is the master builder number in numerology, another multiple of 11. October is the only month with 33 gematria. 11, 22, 33. The number 89 is also the 11th Fibonacci number, connection between 11 and 89. Jacob had been at home with his two younger siblings, Trevor 10 and Carmen 8, and Jacob's friend Aaron Larson 11, while Patty and Jerry Wetterling attended a dinner party about 20 minutes away. Wetterling, who lived in rural St. Joseph, his brother and a friend were coming home from a convenience store on bikes and a scooter when a man wearing a stocking mask and holding a gun approached. There's this new hit TV show that just came out that's set in the 80s where it begins with children riding their bicycles home on a rural road in the middle of the country when somebody comes and takes one of them. The Jewish people, they run our news, they run TV, yes, they run your Netflix, they run it all. And all of their stories are always in overlap. They're tributes to each other. They're all synced up by the numbers. It's no coincidence that this propaganda story is coming at the same time as this Stranger Things show is becoming very popular. This is the same beginning to Stranger Things right here. Where this happened at, Ramsey County in gematria sums to 179, which is the 41st prime number. Stranger Things sums to 179, just like Ramsey County. And again, this is how the show begins, Stranger Things. The same story as this. It's just so obvious how they do this. Been reporting on this for 3 years, and I've only been reporting on it for 3 years, but I've seen it my entire life. September 11th, the Patriot Act, the New England Patriots with no talent Tom Brady. So obvious. You have to be a blind sheep to not see what's going on, and that's what the New World Order produces overwhelmingly out of people. They turn them into blind sheep, followers, cowards, believers. So anyhow, this story, I'm also going to talk about how it might very well connect to the upcoming Minnesota Vikings season. I already mentioned, we'll talk more about it, but 179, the 41st prime, Super Bowl 41, USA 41. The date this happened, it was a date with numerology, as you see, 140, 59, 32, 121. 140 is one of the numbers often coded with prophecy. The name Wetterling has the prophecy connection. 59 is the kill number in Jewish gematria, this child supposedly killed. 32 is the American number, 7/4/1776, numerology of 32. No coincidence that this date has that connection. This is propaganda for the nation. Also a date with 121 numerology, the number of Revelation, the book of prophecy. Again, this happened in October, the only month with 33 gematria. As news of disappearance spread back when it happened, FBI agents and National Guard troops descended on St. Joseph to aid in the search. St. Joseph has gematria 48, by the way. This story came on a date with 48 numerology like propaganda. Look here in the story. In October 2015, authorities announced a development. Child pornography suspect Danny James Heinrich, 52, was questioned in the abduction. Remember, Minnesota is going to be hosting Super Bowl 52 in their new stadium. Investigators interviewed Heinrich about Jacob's disappearance, according to Andrew N. Luger, the U.S. Attorney for Minnesota. Heinrich denied any involvement in the disappearance, authorities said. At the time, no charges were filed in the Wetterling case. So look at this. The name Heinrich equals 74, just like the headline up above, like Masonic, Jewish, occult. His full name, Danny James Heinrich, in Pythagorean gematria sums to 90. When you write out 90, it sums to 33, 99, and 180. And it's the 99 that really stands out here because he's accused of having child pornography. Child pornography equals 99. If you write out 13 as a word, it also sums to 99. We talked about the county he disappeared in had 179 gematria. 179 is the 41st prime number, and 41 is the 13th prime number. Some things could be a coincidence, but just showing you the overlap. So here's his mother, Patty Wetterling. They mentioned that Jacob would have turned 38 this past February, and that's no coincidence. It's all part of the reason this propaganda is coming now. Notice 38 is a number with 11 numerology. 3 plus 8 is 11, like the age he disappeared at. 38 is also an important number to Minnesota. Death equals 38, killing equals 38, Minnesota equals 38, U.S. Bank Stadium equals 38. Denny Green died the night before they opened up U.S. Bank Stadium, the new Viking Stadium. He died 52 days before the Vikings opener on September 11th in Tennessee. Tennessee equals 52. Again, this stadium will be hosting Super Bowl 52. The point is, all of these stories are propaganda hooked up by this number sequence, as they always are. This is how your Jewish media is created. Here's a new update today. Jacob Wetterling, lights left on in memory of boy who was abducted. And, you know, your Freemasons, your Zionist Jews, they probably love it. They're making all this money off the power companies they own. You know, turn on your lights. Help us raise some more money on another lie. By the thousands, people are leaving their porch lights on in Minnesota and other parts of the country for the child who never came home. The lights are being left on through the holiday weekend in memory of Jacob Wetterling, a Minnesota boy who was abducted 27 years ago. If I haven't mentioned so already, be sure to check out my work on the 27 Club, the dead musicians at that age. A lot of them have birth numerology at 27. You know, 27, a number associated with death. Part of the reason we're getting this propaganda 27 years later. So there's this hashtag, you know, we're in this Twitter world now, lights on for Jacob. Lights on for Jacob has the same gematria as New World Order. The New World Order is the Zionist Jew world order that established this nation. That 75 gematria also reminds me of Minnesota Vikings. You know, big news story, the same day that the Minnesota Vikings acquired the former Oklahoma Star. They were also advertising the season end of The Hunt with John Walsh connected to this news. Here's what I want to point out about The Hunt. The Hunt has gematria of 96, like Freemason, like the county this story came out of. John Walsh, JW, the same initials as Jacob Wetterling. The Hunt in gematria sums to 33. Every single episode of The Hunt that has ever come out has been bogus propaganda bullshit. There's not a single story on The Hunt that's true. And look at what they do on this show. You know, they show an episode and then 2 weeks later they say, thanks to you, we captured this guy. Making it seem like there's this power in watching bullshit propaganda and getting justice in this world. It's all really sick when you think about it. John Walsh, the pervert that runs this show, really did have his son murdered, which we're getting to. So JW, The Hunt 33. Look at the name John Walsh. It connects perfectly with Minnesota. This was the season finale of The Hunt the day after this news story broke. Minnesota in gematria is 38 and 110, just like John Walsh. They mentioned how the boy would have been 38 years old this past February. So here's John Walsh's son, Adam Walsh, who supposedly died July 27th, 1981. He died exactly 110 days before his birthday. And do you know what gang kills people this way by the numbers in tributes to other family members' future success? The same gang we're talking about. The sick, psychopath, Zionist Jew Synagogue of Satan. This Masonic network. No doubt that John Walsh murdered his son for his future fame so that he could have his face on TV and all the money and appear to be a good guy. This is what the Jewish people are when you think about it. They are liars, deceivers, creating problems, and then like little bitches, always making it seem like they're the victim. Ooh, the Holocaust! Why would there even be a Holocaust? Why would there be so much hatred for Jewish people in the first place? That's the question people need to ask. Why would somebody want to wipe out all the Jews, which didn't even happen? But just ask yourself, why would that even exist? It's because these people are filth. Read their holy books. They believe they're better than everyone else. They are permitted by God to lie to people who aren't Jewish. It's okay to have sex with little boys in the Jewish faith. I bet you if this kid really existed, Jacob Wetterling, he was taken by somebody Jewish, raped, molested, which is all sanctioned by their Jewish God, and then murdered. If he ever even existed, that's what happened. Maybe even by John Walsh himself. You have been taught to defend your enemy. The sickest people to ever exist in the history of this world are the Jewish people. Not all of them, but most of them. I've said it before. I don't like Jewish people. I can't speak of any good one that I've ever met. They're all the same, small-minded, arrogant, thinking they're better than everyone else, cheap, trying to sucker people out of things. Even all these Orthodox Jews, look at what they do. They work in the jewelry industry. Jews, jewelry. Where's the jewelry coming from? From Africa, where they stole it from the real Jews? The world would be better without Jewish people, You want to listen to somebody tell the truth? Go back and actually listen to Adolf Hitler's speeches yourself and hear what he's saying about the Jewish people and what they're doing to the American people, programming them to be, the horrible people that Americans are. America, the reason the people are so awful here is because they've been raised by the Jewish filth, through the TV, through government. Don't get mad at me, people. I'm telling you the truth. You can't handle it, go somewhere else. That's why you get this bullshit programming every day. That's why you live in this broke-ass nation. Kids can't even play outside. Their parents are too scared and cowardly, worshiping the Jewish TV. It's all true, and it's all too bad. Until next time, True Core, forgot to talk about the Vikings connection further. The day he disappeared was October 22nd, 1989. On this day, the Minnesota Vikings played in Detroit, and look at the score. They won 20-7, a sum of 27 points. 27 in gematria sums to 46, like Michigan, like Sacrifice. Detroit's in Michigan, where they won. Again, if this boy really disappeared, he was a ritual sacrifice by the numbers as part of this ongoing agenda. That year, the Minnesota Vikings would be eliminated by the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs on January 6th, 1990. I noticed the score there, 41-13. Again, 41, the 13th prime, 41, Super Bowl equals 41. We just saw the fake Teddy Bridgewater injury by the numbers, 38 days after the opening of the new stadium. Non-contact equals 38, like his type of injury. I showed how it was all synced up with Sean Hill. It happened on the 243rd day of the year. Sean Hill's full name equals 243. This is the backup for the Vikings, who was formerly with the 49ers. He wears the number 13, plus look at his name. Sean Hill, 41. Hill, 41. On the back of his jersey, it says Hill with a number 13. 41, the 13th prime. If anything happens for the Minnesota Vikings this year, if they make it to a Super Bowl, remember this news story of Jacob Wetterling. Somehow it was a subtle tribute. Again, the people running the world, they are psychopaths. They connect a lot of things that seemingly should have no relationship.